Hello, I'm Chris or Krissy of Krissy's Over the Mountain Crochet, and today we're working on this lovely lace border. This is part of the Crochet Along for the Heirloom Shells Sampler Baby Blanket, but I will give you tips and tips on how you can add this to any blanket or shawl or whatever it is you would choose to do. This is such a lovely set of lace stitches. The picot stitches can be left off if you choose. I think it adds a nice texture. This yarn that I'm using was very easy to block. I did not use a wet and pin method. The picots may have stretched out more had I done that, but I just didn't feel the need to do that. I used a steam iron method to block this lace border, and I think it just turned out beautifully. So I have a sample that I'll be working on, and I'll walk you through the numbers. I'll walk you through the steps on how to put a border on your Heirloom Shells lace sampler blanket, even if you changed your stitch count. I'll give you the numbers so that you can add this border to any blanket, and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk about the edging. We're at row 75 now, but we're going to need to put stitches down the side of the blanket, across the bottom, and up the other side. Row 75 is inclusive of this single crochet edging that will help you get the correct stitch count and will help you make that lace border. So I purposely did not finish that last stitch in row 75. So normally I tell you to put your hook down in that chain space, but we're going to forego that and put that last single crochet stitch in the last stitch. So we have 85 stitches across on the top. That's how many stitches row 75 ends with. Now we're going to turn slightly and place 3 single crochets at the side, but really high on the side, because this is going to be a turning corner. So there's 3. And I'm going to place a marker. Did I tell you you're going to need markers? I think I forgot that. You'll need markers. This little guy broke. These guys break on me all the time. Now I only have 3 left. So I'm going to be using my standby, and that is a bobby pin. Place your marker in the second stitch of that 3 stitch combination right there. My bobby pins have never been in anyone's hair, and they stay where I want them to be, and they don't break. I need to invest in better markers. But so you have 3 stitches here at this corner. Now one of those stitches, this stitch right beside this second stitch, is going to be counted across this side. So now we have 86 stitches here. This center stitch that has a mark is not going to be counted anywhere within the pattern. It will be called the corner stitch, and you will be executing certain special things in this corner stitch. Now this third stitch will be counted in the stitch count down the side of the blanket, but you don't need to really, when you start single crocheting, you don't say, oh, that's 1, so this next stitch is 2. Don't do that. What you need to do down this side is execute 99 single crochets, and do it in a manner that they're spread out evenly, in a way that you're not going to have puckers and pulls. A pull would be where it caves in like that, and a pucker would be you have too many stitches bunched up together and there's a ripple. So execute 99 stitches down the side, and obviously my sample is not long enough for 99 stitches, but then you get to this side corner, and then up high on this side you execute another 3 stitch combination and put a marker in that 3 stitch combination. I'm going to grab the yarn up here and do that for you real quick, just so you know what I'm doing. Let's assume I have put 99 stitches down the side. Now I am going to put, so that's a chain 1, so this will be a single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. Whoops, let me get it in there. A little tight, a little bit hard when you're just doing it on the fly. All right, so now I have a 3-stitch combination. I have 1 stitch that will be counted with the 99. And remember, you have another stitch at the opposite corner. So you have 99 stitches plus 2, which makes 97. I'm going to put a marker right here. I'm not going to try to close that because I'll break it. So now this stitch counts on the side. Now we're going to turn and place 84 stitches across. Now there are 85 stitches to this base. So somewhere randomly in the middle, single crochet 2 stitches together. You need 84 stitches across the bottom plus the 1 on this corner. Then you will have 3 stitches at this corner, so you'll have plus the 1 on either corner, so you will have a total of 86 stitches. So let me single crochet across the bottom very quickly and show you how I single crochet 2 together. Oops, I need a stitch right here. The goal is 84 stitches, and I am just about in the middle. And you can either skip a stitch or single crochet 2 together. I'm going to single crochet 2 together. How I do this in this instance is, this is different than in sample 3 when I was trying to fill in a hole. I will insert the hook, pull up a loop, insert the hook, pull up a loop, and pull through all 3. That gives me 1 stitch. All right, I'll continue to single crochet across. It doesn't matter where that single crochet, where you decrease or place those 2 single crochets together. That is not that important. Okay, so I'm getting to the end. I have single crocheted across the bottom. I am at the end. 1 more single crochet here. Now I'm going to put, and make sure you have 84 stitches across. I'm going to put my 3 single crochets, I'm going to slightly turn it, 3 single crochets at this corner. Okay, I'm going to place my marker in the second of these 3 stitches. There's my marker. Now I'm going to single crochet 99 down the side. Now remember, the stitch on the right will count as a stitch across the bottom. The stitch to the left of the corner stitch will count as a stitch up the side, because now I'm going up the side. I'm going all the way up the side, the opposite side, 99 single crochets, and I am back at the beginning of row 75. So you need to find a spot. I've already done that. You can tell I've opened up that hole, but you need to find a spot where you execute 3 single crochets right in this corner. Let me go ahead and see if I can do that for you really without any trouble. Let me get a hold of my yarn. All right, 1, 2, and 3. We have 3 stitches right here, and I'm going to place a marker. That is my corner stitch. Remember, that will be counted, not counted in any stitch count. It will be part of the pattern and will be called the corner stitch. That is where the large fan will bloom from, is this corner stitch. That's where exciting things happen. Now we are at the top again, and we are ready to start round 2. Round to 2 is exciting, but I want to start the pattern for the lace over here. So I need to slip stitch. I need to execute. Actually, first thing I need to do is join to this first stitch. I forgot that. I apologize. I need to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch. And see, that makes a nice corner. All right, but like I said, I need to I need to start my pattern in this area right here. So what I'm going to do now, and remember, this single crochet counts as a stitch on the top. This single crochet counts as a stitch down the side. The written pattern makes that very clear. So now what I need to do is slip stitch in the next stitch 2 times. Now I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same slip stitch. Now it's chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and V2 in this third stitch. Skipped 2, V2 in the third stitch, and a V2 is 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Chain 2. All right. Now the repeat sequence starts. And the repeat sequence is this. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, single crochet. Chain 3, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, single crochet. Chain 5, and skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, single crochet. Chain 3, skip 2 stitches, single crochet. Chain 2, and a V2. This is the end of that repeat sequence, V2. This sequence encompasses 15 stitches. So your stitch count is 15 plus 9. If you have deviated from the pattern as I wrote it, when you are going across the top and across the bottom, you need a sequence of 15 plus 9. All right, so the sequence starts right here with these 2 chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You need a combination of 15 stitches to lay the base for the lace. This chain 5 space is where a fan will bloom. So just as the corner has its own blooming happening, which will be bigger than the bloom of a fan right here, that is where the bloom starts. So you need a combination of 15 stitches plus 9. All right, and the plus 9 encompasses these stitches at the beginning, and then there will be a there's a short segment of the repeat at the beginning and a short segment of the repeat at the end. The combination is 15 plus 9, but we have those 2 extra stitches. So if you were to go off grid and go away from this crochet pattern that I've written, if you're not doing the Heirloom Shells sampler, the combination is 15 plus 11. But as I have written this pattern, it is 15 plus 9 plus 2, because that encompasses 2 of the corner stitches. All right, let me finish this let me do a few more of these stitches. So it's chain 2, skip 2, single crochet, chain 3, skip 2, single crochet. It's really an easy pattern to remember. That 5, yep, that's 5. Skip 2, then it's chain 3, skip 2, then it's chain 2, and a V2. All right, let me get to the end of this row and then I'll explain to you how the end works, how the last little segment portion works, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I have laid the base for the fan shell lace border. I've crocheted all the way across the top using the 15 stitch sequence. I executed that sequence 5 times over, and each sequence is executed over the over 15 stitches. Now I'm at the end. I've executed the last. We're at the last segment, so I've executed the last V2. I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, single crochet, chain 3, and skip 2 stitches. Now this is where the stitch count ends, so I have used all 86 stitches across the top. Now I'm going to use the corner stitch. Let me blow this up a little bit. Now I'm using the corner stitch. And I'm just going to leave my stitch marker there. I'm going to shove it out of the way. So I will single crochet, chain 7, and loop that back down and single crochet in the corner stitch again. There we go. Now you have one sequence all the way across the top started, and then the corner sequence. Now follow the pattern that is written. I hope to have a chart for you in the pattern, but this is where the lace fan will bloom. Now we have completed one whole side, or the top, and the opposite side works exactly the same. The side repeats are 6 times, and the top repeat is 5 times. Now you have the math. I'll put the math up above again, and I will make sure that you understand what the math is in the written pattern. Let's move on to round 3. Okay, we're moving on to round 3, but before I get to round 3, I want to show you how to end and how to begin round 3. So I'm ending round 2. I've come up the last side. I've single crocheted, chain 2, I'm skipping 2, and then doing the corner, single crochet, chain 7. 6, 7, and then single crochet. All right, now it is chain 3 and slip stitch into this single crochet. Slip stitch into the single crochet. Now I will slip stitch. I need to get to this chain 2 space so I can make a beginning V. So I will slip stitch into the chain 2 space one time, kind of a generous slip stitch into the double crochet of the previous V, slip stitch into the next double crochet of the previous V, and then slip stitch into that chain 2 space. Now we're going to make a beginning V, which is chain 3, double crochet. That chain 3 counts as a double crochet. Chain 2, and then 2 double crochets. This will make the beginning V. Now it's chain 2, and remember this chain 5 space, we will skip the chain 2 and chain 3 and all the single crochets in between and execute a fan in the chain 5 space. A fan is treble stitch, which is wrap the yarn around the hook twice. Trying to do that so you can see it. I'll do it slower. That's a treble stitch, chain 1. So it's treble stitch, chain 1 5 times, wrap around twice, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, chain 1. Let me get going a little faster here. Chain 1, 1. So the sequence is treble, chain 1, 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to execute one more treble to make a total of 6 trebles in this chain 5 space. And chain 2 and a V, V2. This is the easiest repeat to remember. So this is the repeat sequence, a fan, excuse me, it's a chain 2, fan, chain 2, V2. And we execute that across. That sequence is repeated 5 times. We execute that across. Let me go ahead and chain 2 and V2 right here so I can show you how this last corner fan ends. I'll skip a lot of stitches right here real quick just so I can finish this segment for you. Okay, I'm at the last V2. Let me go ahead and make that last V2. Then it's chain 2. And in this chain 7 space, we make a corner fan. And a corner fan is 8 treble and chain 1 sequences. So you treble chain 1, repeat that 8 times. So I have 8 treble chain 1 sequences, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the chain 1. Then I need to execute one more treble. So there are 9 trebles in this fan, the corner fan. Then it's chain 2. Ah, look there. There's our V2. And we go down the other side. It's really an easy sequence. It's all V2s with chain 2s in between, all V2s and fans with a chain 2 in between, and then you get to the corner fan, and this is what you have. And I will work my way around to the end and show you how to execute the ending. So we finished round 3. This is the last fan that was made. I'm going to, and the last stitch that was made was a chain 2. And then to totally finish round 3, you join with a slip stitch in the top of this beginning chain 3. Now we need to slip stitch our way. I don't like how that was. Let me do that again. We have to slip stitch our way back into this chain 2 space. So slip stitch into the next double crochet, slip stitch into the chain 2 space, and make a beginning V2. And a beginning V2 is chain 3, double crochet. That chain 3 counts as a double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. I think earlier in the video I made 3 double crochets, but it's just 2. All right. Sometimes when you think ahead, you just end up making an extra stitch. All right, now this next sequence, this is where the sequence after starts. The V2, chain 2, and single crochet in the first chain 1 space of the fan. Then chain 5 and single crochet in the next chain 1 space, and we repeat that 4 times. This is my 4th time, my 5th single crochet, but my 4th time repeating the chain 5 spaces, and I have 4 chain 5 spaces. All right, so let's move on. Now it's chain 2 and a V2. And then we would chain 2. From here we would chain 2, single crochet, chain 5, single crochet, chain 5, single crochet, chain 5, single crochet, chain 5, single crochet. You would have 4 chain 5 spaces, chain 2, and a V2. So let me take a couple of chains here and get to the end. I want to show you the corner. All right, let me put a V here at this last V2, and then we'll move on to the corner. And then chain 2, single crochet in the first chain space, chain 5, and we do this across the fan. There, we did that across the fan. We chained 5, and single crocheted across the fan. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chain 5 spaces. So you repeat the sequence of chain 5, single crochet in the chain 1 space 7 times, and you probably know what's next. Chain 2 and V2. We've just turned the corner. We're going down the other side. Now remember, the repeats on the top and the bottom are a combination of 5, and the repeats on the sides are 6. And I've run into a knot. Let me end there, and I'll move on and get around to the other corner so I can show you how to end this. So I've worked my way around to the end of row 4, and I'm getting ready to join. And then we'll move on to row 5. So I have my corner fan that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chain 5 spaces, chain 2, and then come around and join into the 3rd chain. And just like before, we need to slip stitch across to get to the chain 2 space. So slip stitch in that double crochet, slip stitch into that chain 2 space. Let's make a V2. So that's chain 3, double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Now chain 2, skip the chain 2 space, single crochet in the first chain 5 space, chain 3, single crochet in the next chain 5 space. Now it's chain 5. This will be the crown. I call it the crown or the peak, the crown of the fan. And then single crochet in the next. See, there's the crown. And then chain 3 and single crochet in the last chain 5 space. Now you can see the pattern. It's chain 2 and a V2. Chain 2, and then single crochet in the chain 5 space, chain 3, single crochet in the chain 5 space, chain 5, that's the crown, single crochet in the next chain 5 space, chain 3, and single crochet in the next chain 5 space. And you know the pattern, chain 2 and V2. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and work my way to the corner. So I'll take a few more chains like I've done in the past. I'll take a few chains and skip over all of these fans and chain 5 spaces and work a V2 here at the end. Because that corner fan has a lot of chain 5 spaces, and I want to show you how that's done. 1, 2, now chain 2, I'm at the corner fan, and I will single crochet right here in the first chain 5 space, chain 3, single crochet in the next chain 5 space, chain 3 again, single crochet in the next chain 5 space. Now it's chain 5, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 5 again. Oops, I got a little side wickered. So far I have 2 chain 3s, 2 chain 5s. So I'll have 2 more chain 3s right here. So it's chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the last chain 5 space, and you know what's next, chain 2, because right here's a V2. This is really an easy border. It's just a little time consuming, and it does use a bit of yarn. It's a yarn eater, but it is so beautiful. All right, so we worked our way around the corner, and I'll work my way around to the last corner and to the join, and I will meet you. This is round 5. I'll meet you at the end, and then we'll start round 6. Okay, so I've worked around to the corner. We are at the end of round 5. We're going to join to the 3rd chain of the first V2. We'll slip just like before into the double crochet and then into that chain 2 space. Now we're going to make a beginning V3. A beginning V3 is chain 2, double crochet, chain 5. This chain 2 does not count as a stitch. It's just going to sit right beside that double crochet. Now we're going to chain 2 and V2 in that crown chain. That chain 5 is going to hold the V2. Chain 2, V2 in the next V3, I'm sorry, V3 in this next V2, chain 5, double crochet, and that's a V3. All right, and then we would chain 2, V2 in the top, chain 2, V3 in the V2, and on across until we reach the corner. Let me take a few more stitches and we'll execute that corner. That corner is pretty exciting. There are a lot of changes on this corner also. So let me put a V3 in this V2 and we'll move on around that corner so you can see how exciting that is. So here's a V3. V3, chain 3, not chain 2, but chain 3. You're going to skip this chain 2 space and skip this chain 3 space and single crochet in the next chain 3 space. Then we will chain 2 and V2 in this chain 5 space. Chain 7, and V2 in this next chain 5 space. This chain 7 is going to be the place where a very large treble shell blooms and makes that beautiful treble shell. Chain 2, single crochet in the chain 3 space beside of that, and then 1, 2, 3, chain 3, skip these chains, and then a V3. All right, let's look at this again. Let's look at this corner again. How exciting is this corner becoming? All right, you've skipped the chain 3 space. There's a single crochet chain 2 and a V2, then a chain 7, and I think you can see the potential for a large shell right there. And then a V2, then chain 2, single crochet, chain 3, and a V3. All right, let me work my way back around the corner and we will start working on round 7. We're close to the end. Okay, so we're at the end of round 6. I have chain 3. Here is the corner shell, and there's that chain 7 space. I've chained 3. I'm going to join to the double crochet of this V3 with a slip stitch. Join with a slip stitch. Now I need to execute a slip stitch into this chain 5 space, and I'm going to do a beginning treble fan. And a beginning treble fan is chain 4, and this chain 4 counts as a treble stitch, and then execute 10 treble stitches in this chain 5 space. Each of these chain 5 spaces will hold a treble fan, and the treble fan has 11 treble stitches in it, except for the beginning treble fan, which has a chain 4 and 10 treble stitches. I have a beginning treble fan. Now I will chain 2 and execute a V2 in the top of the V2, in that chain 2 space of the V2. Chain 2 and treble fan in this chain 5 space of the V3, and the treble fan is 11 treble crochets. Okay, so there we have a treble fan shell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now we'll chain 2, and a V2 here, chain 2, a treble fan, chain 2, a V2, all the way across. Let me take a few stitches and let's get to that corner. All right. Okay, so we are at the corner. Now I would execute a, notice the corner has 2 V2s on it, all right? So I would execute a treble fan right here, but I'm going to skip over that and just start right here with the V2, a V2, now we will not execute a chain 2 here. We're just going to immediately go into the corner treble fan, and the corner treble fan is 15 treble stitches in this corner. All right, there we go. We have 15 trebles in this corner space. Isn't that lovely? Now there is no chain 2 right here. We just will only execute a V2. And then we would chain 2 and then continue on around with the treble shells. I'm really excited. We're at this point, we only have 1 row to go. You can leave your pattern just like this, or you can add the picot stitches. The picot stitches will be the next round. I'll work my way around to the other corner and join, and then we'll work on the picot round. Okay, so we are on the last round. Well, actually, we need to join, but I've finished my last corner shell here, the 15 trebles in the corner shell. And remember, there are no chain spaces on either side of this shell. As you're leaving this V2, there are no chain spaces, and as you're leaving the shell, there are no chain spaces, and then there's a V2. These are considered the corner V2s, all right? In the written pattern, those are considered the corner V2s. So now we need to join. This join is an important join. It's in the top of that chain 4. This chain 4 is considered a treble stitch, so it's a slip stitch. All right, so now we're heading into the picot round, round 8. This is optional. You can finish off here and block your blanket and have a joyful time with your blanket, or you can add the picot round. This join is considered the first slip stitch in the pattern of the picot round. So now we need to make a picot, and a picot is chain 3, slip stitch in the 3rd chain. Now we need to single crochet to finish that off. All right, that stands up nice. Slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 3, and picot. Finish off the stitch by slip stitch. Slip stitch in the next stitch, and a picot. And a slip stitch into the next stitch, and a picot. You will have 5 picots as you repeat this across the fan. One more slip stitch, one more picot, slip stitch to finish that off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picots. Now we need to execute 1 slip stitch in this last treble. Now we're going to single crochet in the chain 2 space. Chain 2, then a V2 in the V2. chain 2, single crochet, slip stitch in the first treble, picot, finish that stitch, slip stitch, picot, okay, so I finished another fan with picots. Now I'm going to move on to the corner. I want to show you how to execute the corner. So let me take a few stitches. I did not rip out my stitches from the last time. I just kept that area unworked. I'm running low on yarn. So you the next thing you need to do after a fan, use single crochet in the chain space between the V's. Then you chain 2. Then you make a V2. This is a corner V2. 1, 2. Now, you're going to execute no chains here whatsoever. You're just going to immediately go into slip stitching. So slip stitch, picot, close the stitch with a slip stitch, another slip stitch, picot, and let me speed the camera up for you so you don't have to watch me picot all the way across those shells. And then slip stitch it in the last treble. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trebles, 7 picots. I'm sorry, 7 picots. Isn't that beautiful? That is so pretty when it is blocked. So there are no chains here. You just immediately execute a V2. Now it's chain 2, single crochet in the chain space, slip stitch into the treble, and then picot around this fan. Let's look at this corner again. There are no chain spaces between the V and between the V's, right there on either side of the fan. There are no chain spaces. So when you get to this V at the corner, this is the corner V, you have a chain 2 space right here, execute your V, then no chain spaces, and immediately go into putting the picots across the fan. Remember, no chain spaces and a V2 in the top of that V2, and then the chain spaces. All right, so I hope you enjoy this. Oh, let me say, this is simple. Just continue the picots all the way around the edge of the border. This is just a matter of just putting your stitches in the right places. I hope you have enjoyed working on this Heirloom Shells Sampler baby blanket. The border is exquisite. You can add lace or satin ribbon through the beading and then just make a little bow and tie it on the corners, or you can sew them on the corners. If I don't recommend this for anything other than as using it in a photo prop. These can cause tangling problems and strangulation problems with babies. Just use this in photos if you will be using this for a baby. If this is for personal use for you, obviously decorate this, embellish it to your heart's content. I love these little bows. This is an elastic lace, an elasticized lace. But let's go over the border. There is the border first. Isn't that beautiful? This is sample for the border, sample 4, sample 3, sample 2, I like this, and this was the first sample. This was the one that got us started. I hope you've enjoyed your time on my side of the mountain. I've enjoyed having you. I hope you'll come again soon, and hit the like and subscribe. I would appreciate any comments that you would leave. Ring a bell. I hear there's a bell to ring. I'm not sure where it's at, but if you could ring the bell. It was so good to have you. I hope you'll come again soon. Bye.